Today is the kind of day that has the 49ers faithful sitting up a little straighter. Something is brewing that could shape the rest of this season. And I'm not talking about just one matchup. There's a storyline that could explode on the field, a behind-the-scenes reality check that can flip a comfortable win into a stressful Sunday, and a coaching ripple effect that might hit the entire league. And there's one more piece. The quiet kind. The kind that suddenly becomes a late-season weapon when you least expect it. You won't believe what we've got today, so hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get right into it. Because if you're looking for the first headline of the day, it's staring us right in the face. George Kittle is set up to eat. And I'm not just saying that as a fan, I'm saying it because the numbers, the matchup, and the film are all pointing the same direction. Pro Football Focus broke it down, and the message is simple. Tennessee has a problem, and Kittle is exactly the type of player that turns problems into disasters. Since returning from injury in Week 7, Kittle has been playing like a cheat code. 33 catches, 371 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's not a nice comeback. That's dominance. And what makes Kittle so dangerous isn't just that he can win as a receiver. He's still one of the most complete, every-down tight ends in football because he'll block you into the ground and then torch you up the seam the next snap. That dual threat forces defenses to declare what they are, and once they do, Shanahan starts pulling strings. Now let's talk about the Titans, because this is where it gets uncomfortable for them. Their pass defense has been one of the worst in the league, and it's not one single flaw. It's everything. The scheme hasn't held up, the pass rush hasn't consistently gotten home, and the talent level on the back end isn't scaring anyone. When a defense is that leaky, it creates space for a player like Kittle to take over a game. And the specific matchup that keeps popping up is linebacker Cedric Gray. Gray has been a bright spot against the run. He grades well there, racks up stops, flies downhill. But in coverage, that's where the cracks show. He's given up a ton through the air. 52 receptions, 500 yards. And if you're asking a linebacker to live with Kittle in key passing situations, you're basically betting your Sunday on a mismatch. Here's the part that matters for the bigger picture. If Kittle doesn't have a big game in a spot like this, it raises an eyebrow. Not because the 49ers can't win without him exploding, but because when you're talking Super Bowl level offense, 49ers can't win without him exploding, but because when you're talking Super Bowl level offense, you want proof that your passing game can dictate terms against a defense that doesn't have answers. If the Titans somehow keep Kittle quiet, it better be because they're selling out, bracketing him, crashing down, basically daring someone else to beat them. And if that happens, fine, because it can open the door for another weapon like Ricky Pearsall to have a day. But you'd still want to see the offense punish the overreaction. Don't be surprised if Shanahan tests this early. Feed Kittle, make Tennessee show their hand, and once they start tilting coverage, branch everything off of it. Play action, crossers, chunk plays, the whole menu. The question is simple. Are the Titans capable of slowing him down without breaking everywhere else? And if Kittle walks off the field without that impact, is it a fluke or a warning sign? And while everyone's dreaming about a clean win on Sunday, there's always one thing that can turn a comfortable game into a weird one: the injury report. This is the part where every fan starts doing math in their head, because one name missing doesn't just remove a player. It changes rotations, packages, special teams, matchups, everything. For the 49ers, the tough news is that 3 defenders who've been sidelined stayed sidelined and are ruled out. Linebackers Tatum Bethune and Nick Martin, plus defensive end Sam Okwainonu. And when you lose a linebacker, especially one dealing with a concussion, you're not just losing tackling, you're losing communication, range, and sometimes those little coverage responsibilities that keep an offense from getting comfortable on quick throws over the middle. It also matters on special teams, those hidden yardage plays that quietly swing field position and points. Now the good news, the kind that makes your shoulders drop a little. Christian McCaffrey is good to go. He was limited earlier with an illness. He practiced fully. And he's cleared for Sunday. And you don't need me to explain how different this offense looks when CMC is available and right. His presence doesn't just add production. He forces defenses to respect every fake, every motion, every checkdown. the playbook expands, the margins get wider, and suddenly the quarterback's life gets a whole lot easier. Same thing with Kyle Juszczyk. He took a rib fracture against Cleveland, but he's been cleared too. That matters in a big way, because Juice is one of the keys to the 49ers' identity. He's that multi-purpose piece who can lead block, seal an edge, leak out into the flat, and punish defenses that fall asleep for half a second. When he's on the field, the Niners can shift into those heavy looks without losing passing threats, and that's where Shanahan starts playing chess. There's also a small but important note on the offensive line. Trent Williams is listed as a rest day, not an injury. That's massive. This team's physicality, especially in the run game, is different with him out there. It's not just blocking, it's tone. But not everything is green lights. Shanahan already said Yetur Gross-Matos and quarterback Curtis Rourke, both of whom had practice windows open, will not be activated for the Titans game. That's the team playing the long game, managing the roster, and not forcing something before it's ready. And there's one more quiet detail that could become a talking point. Eric Kendricks, currently on the practice squad, wasn't spotted during the portion of practice open to the media because of a calf issue. Even as a depth or situational option, that kind of veteran presence can matter, especially when the opponent tries to speed up tempo, stress communication, and test your chemistry. On Tennessee's side, they've got a confirmed absence in the secondary, plus a handful of names listed as questionable or managed. When you see linemen and key pieces limited or resting, you always wonder, is it just maintenance, or is there more to it? Either way, the takeaway is clear. With CMC and Juszczyk cleared, the 49ers offense has real juice again. With defensive absences, execution has to be sharp. Because in the NFL, easy only stays easy if you don't give the other team a reason to believe. And while all that's happening on the field, there's noise off the field that you can't just ignore, because it could shake up the league, and it touches the 49ers directly. Over in Las Vegas, the Raiders are spiraling. 2 wins, confusion, no consistent identity. And when an organization looks that directionless, the coaching seat starts heating up fast. There's a real chance Pete Carroll doesn't survive the offseason in Vegas. Maybe not even that long. And if that job opens, one name that's already been connected to the Raiders is 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh. That's where things get interesting, and that's where Niners fans should pay attention. Reports have indicated Vegas was interested in Saleh before. Not just a casual interest, an aggressive pitch. The idea was to bring him in as a highly paid defensive coordinator and essentially position him as an heir apparent down the road. Saleh didn't take it. Instead, after his time as the Jets head coach, he came back to the Bay Area. That decision tells you a lot about what he values and how he views timing. Saleh wants to be a head coach again. No doubt. But he also knows how the league works. A third shot doesn't come easily. And if you get it, you can't waste it on a situation that's built to swallow people whole. Head coaches don't always get that extra chance, even when context matters. Look at Josh McDaniels. After failed stints in Denver and with the Raiders, he's an offensive coordinator now, and that's probably where it stays. Saleh understands that reality. Now look at the Raiders' track record. Since 2002, they've had 12 different head coaches. 12. That's not just turnover, that's instability as a brand. It's changing systems, changing voices, changing culture every couple of years. If you're a coach trying to build something sustainable, that history is a flashing red warning sign. And for the 49ers, the stakes are personal. Saleh is a major part of this team's defensive identity. He brings energy, clarity, and a tone that shows up on Sundays. If he leaves, it's not just a coordinator change, it's a culture shift. But beyond that, if he takes a job in a chaotic environment and it collapses, it might cost him his best shot at being a long-term head coach anywhere. That's the kind of decision that changes a career. So the real question becomes, is a big offer always a real opportunity? Or is it a trap wrapped in money and hype? Because if you look at what's happening in Vegas, you can't blame anyone for thinking twice. And that's the key phrase here. Think twice. And while most people think December is only about who's healthy right now, there's another storyline. Quiet, slow burning, and potentially massive if it turns at the right time. Jacob Cowing. It's been nearly a month since Shanahan told reporters Cowing was close to returning. Back then, the idea was he might be back sometime after the bye week, maybe giving the 49ers a late-season boost as they push toward the postseason. And yet, he's still on injured reserve, still recovering from that hamstring injury from late August. Naturally, the speculation started. Some fans looked at the wide receiver room and said, maybe they're not opening his window because the room is crowded. 6 receivers already on the 53. Maybe it's a numbers game. Maybe it's competition. Maybe it's a signal. Shanahan shut that down. Hard. He said as soon as Cowing is fully healthy, they'll open his window. That's the message. This isn't about roster math. It's about the injury. Period. And that matters, because it tells you the team hasn't moved on from him. They're not stashing him for convenience. They're waiting because hamstrings are tricky, and the worst thing you can do is bring a player back a half step early and lose him again. A setback now doesn't just cost you a week, it can cost you the season. Before the injury, Cowing flashed real promise in the offseason. Speed, quick separation, the kind of movement that can stress coverage even without a ton of targets. As a rookie in 2024, he played in 15 games and didn't have huge numbers. 4 catches for 80 yards on 6 targets. But those reps matter. Players like that can grow quietly, then suddenly become useful at the exact moment defenses start keying on your primary options. And that's the strategic angle. If Cowing can return fresh late in the year, he becomes a variable, a new wrinkle. A player defenses don't have a full season of tape on in this system. Someone who can stretch a defense, occupy a safety, change alignments, and create space for others, even if he's not the headline. But here's the tension. Do you wait for the long-term upside, or do you press for immediate help and risk a setback? Hamstrings don't care about your playoff hopes. They're either ready or they're not. Shanahan said Cowing is getting close, but still has markers to clear. That's the organization choosing patience, betting that caution now could become a payoff later. And when you put all of this together, it's hard not to feel it. The 49ers are at that point in the season where every detail becomes destiny. If Kittle goes out there and does what this matchup suggests he can do, it's not just a good game, it's a statement. If the injury situation plays out the way it looks, the offense gets a boost with CMC and Juszczyk, but the defense has to be sharp, disciplined, and hungry because missing bodies can't become excuses. If Vegas starts shaking up again, and Saleh's name circles back into that conversation, it reminds you how valuable stability and identity really are. And in the background, Cowing remains the quiet what if that could turn into a real weapon when it matters most. Now I want to hear from you. Which one of these storylines hits you the hardest today? And what do you think it means for the 49ers playoff run? Drop a comment, debate it with the Niner gang, hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed, because we're going to be all over every twist from here on out.